Hello and welcome to the PhoneArena.com video review of the Pantech Matrix. This device is currently available right now with AT&T, and it sports a unique design here. It has a dual slider mechanism. It has a traditional keypad, numeric keypad, and when you open it left to right, it reveals a full QWERTY keyboard. Now the Matrix is billed as a text messaging device, so for anyone, text messengers, email, instant messaging applications, this is the perfect device for you here. It actually looks similar to Pantech Duo, which was released last year for AT&T. That phone, though, was a Windows Mobile powered device, where this one here is a non-smartphone and uses AT&T's proprietary user interface. Now, as far as the design goes, we did like the overall design of the Matrix here. It has blue, shiny plastic. It has almost like a polished look to it, which does a pretty good job, as far as feeling it in your hand. It also uses the same blue, shiny plastic on the back, and in between you have a silver plastic that actually accents the device pretty neat, pretty nice. It's a little bit on the heavier side and also a little bit thicker than other traditional slider phones here. But we did like the fact that, when you place it in your hands, even though it feels heavy, it's not wide enough to feel too bulky at all when compared to something like a AT&T Tilt here. On the front, the first thing that you'll see here is the navigation pad with the selection key in the middle here. On the left and right sides are the soft keys. On the top, you have the left and right soft keys right here. You have a dedicated music application. When you press that, it actually will give you a listing of all the music applications you could run on the device. And also, you have a back and clear key right here, your send key, and also the end key. Now, the problem that we had with it is that the keys itself were a little bit smaller. So people or individuals with larger fingers, you might probably notice using your tip of your finger more often, or even a fingernail, just to press the soft keys here. The screen, though, it is it's adequate. It's not as bright when compared to some other phones, but it does the job well. In brightly lit areas, in direct sunlight, you probably will have a little bit of hard time with there might be a slight glare with it. But in complete darkness, we didn't really have any issues viewing the screen. And the speaker on the top here, the only gripe that we had with it is the fact that it does not seem too loud enough. We just wish that it was amplified a little bit more. We had to basically put the sound on its highest setting just to hear anyone. Now on the left side, the volume rocker is placed appropriately on the device. And on the other side of that, you have a dedicated camera button for your video and also camera application. You have the proprietary USB charging port here. Unfortunately, though, the Pantech decided to stick with their own connection rather than a traditional mini USB or even a micro USB slot. The thing that we did like, though, on the Matrix is the fact that the micro SD card slot is located on the top of the device here. So it's really convenient to actually take out the card itself instead of removing the battery cover and going through the removing the battery just to get to a slot. But this is pretty neat, getting better access to it. You could hot swap different cards at different times, and we didn't have any problems doing that here. But we did like the fact that it's located on top and not behind the battery here. And on the back, you have a 1.3 megapixel camera with a speakerphone. Speakerphone does a great job when playing any audio or even a video on the device. It didn't really crackle. Even for phone calls, we had a pretty good performance with it here. Now when you slide the device open, again, it's built as a text messaging device. It's a slider phone. We did like the snappy feeling that we get when you open it and close it. The keys itself here are flush. It has a blue, it's backlit with a blue color. It does a good job accenting well with the silver background here, especially in complete darkness. It looks really well in the dark. And when you slide the phone open the other way, it reveals the full QWERTY keyboard here. Now the keys itself, they're slightly raised. But we just feel that, we just wish that the keys itself were a little bit raised, a little bit more, because it kind of feels like it looks almost flush with the surface here, but they are slightly raised. The numbers are distinguished in the blue keys, just so that it makes it easier for you to see. And keys are spaced pretty evenly. We didn't have really too much of a problem using the full QWERTY keyboard for texting or sending a message here. Again, just like the soft keys here, individuals with larger fingers will probably be using the edge of the finger or even their fingernail to press a button. But we didn't have any problems using the full QWERTY keyboard, and like the overall feeling that the phone provides when you open and close it here. As we mentioned before, the Matrix actually has a good backlighting with the numeric keypad. It has a bluish hue to it, which does a good job in contrast with the silver, background here. As far as the QWERTY keyboard is concerned here, again, it does a nice job of backlighting the keys, very visible at night. You won't have any problem, viewing it in complete darkness, and even in daylight, we had no problem seeing the keys itself here. As we mentioned earlier, the Matrix is actually a non-smartphone device, so it has a very simple interface, very user-friendly here. If you've owned an AT&T phone within the last year, you'll probably be familiar with this interface. Like we said again, it's very basic. And from here, this is the home screen. You have your clock on the top right and also your date. When you go into your main menu here, click the menu button. You're going to be greeted with a grid view here of all the various applications you could run. Starting from AT&T Music, you have your messaging software, Yellow Pages, MediaNet. Media Mall, you have your AT&T GPS, My Stuff, Address Book, and Settings. As far as the user interface goes, it's very simple. Like we said, not as many flashy animations going on. The great thing about it is that it is very quick, very swift. Didn't have any slowdown or any problems really running any software on the device. So the first thing we're going to go into is the AT&T Music application here. From here, you're going to be able to launch a variety of different stuff related to music. For example, you have the music player. You could start playing music. It's very simple. So if you start running a song or playing a song here, you're going to have the application running here. And obviously, it's going to show you the track, the title, even an album cover if it has one. And if you go back to the home screen, you'll notice on the home screen you'll be able to actually have a mini player running in the background. So the song will run in the background as you're using the device. If we go back to the AT&T Music, you have other features such as XM radio. If you have an account, you'll be able to use XM radio on the device. Music ID, another popular application that allows you to tag a specific song if you don't know the artist. It'll tell you also stuff like the name of the song itself here. As we said before, also the Matrix is built as a text messaging device thanks to the QWERTY keyboard here. Now, as far as messaging goes, there's a bunch of different stuff you could do with the Matrix here. You could obviously send text messages, traditional text messages, picture messaging to any user here. Using the full QWERTY keyboard is probably the best option when inputting text into it. As far as email goes, though, it has this mobile email, which comes on pretty much most of the AT&T devices. If you use it before, it's the same exact interface here. The downside with this application is that it does not include, specific email accounts. So if you have one that's not listed in the options here, unfortunately, you're out of luck. You wouldn't be able to actually use your email. So some of the providers that the Matrix does support is Yahoo, AOL, AIM, Hotmail, and if you go to other providers, unfortunately, this is all that's going to provide you. If yours is not, on the list here, unfortunately, you're not going to be just not going to be a way for you to actually put it into the device. So we just wish that the, mobile email provided specific, incoming, outgoing server addresses so you could use your specific email account here. As far as the other applications running, if you look at instant messaging, we did like the instant messenger client on the device. It only allows you for instant messenger AOL. You have Windows Live Messenger and also Yahoo Messenger. The great thing about it is that if you do run the application, you put in username and password, it actually will run in the background. So if you do exit out of the application, go back to the home screen, you will notice like there's going to be an icon top right corner to signify if someone has messaged you back. But we just like that feature, having it run in the background, so that the device is always connected. 3G is supported on the device. It's enabled for high-speed internet access thanks to the AT&T 3G network here. The one thing that we did notice with the Matrix though is that whenever you do open up a web page, sometimes it doesn't display it as it's downloading it. As you can see right here on the screen, we're trying to get into our website, and it's taking a little bit of time. It's not actually loading up the page as it's downloading it. Sometimes it'll just wait till the whole page is downloaded before it actually loads it up on screen. Or in some cases we've seen it actually load up on screen while it's downloading at the same time. Now we have it set so that it's on full screen. We also like the feature that it actually has a thumbnail view when you're scrolling. Scrolling does take some time. It takes quite a bit of time for it to render some of the images here. So as far as a web browser experience, it's not on par as when compared to something like the iPhone 3G. But for a basic browser using MediaNet, it does the job fine. You could set the settings to actually use text view, so that it'll just render the page in one single column rather than anything else, and make it easier for you to scroll with text. And you have options to not display text. Not display pictures, so it does load or scroll a lot faster here. But for a basic web browser, it does a pretty good. It's basic. It's an okay job, other than the fact that it does take quite some time for pages to load up, and also for scrolling does take some time here. Now the contacts, pretty easy. The address book here, very simple and easy to use interface. It basically allows you to hold over, I believe, 1,000 contacts on the device itself. You could add in up to, I believe, 4 different numbers, and also email addresses, URLs, web pages, a fax number even. But it's very basic, very simple and easy to use here. Now, other applications that you'll find, AT&T GPS with the phone. It's powered by the AT&T Navigator, which is powered by Telnav here. It's a really easy to use, interface. No problems getting a GPS signal. It'll give you turn-by-turn directions and also points of interest, and it'll also announce streets, as by name, rather than saying left or right. But it's the same exact program that you've seen on other AT&T phones with the AT&T Navigator pre-installed. My Stuff, it's basically your area, your explorer for audio, games, applications, and also your pictures. There's other specific tools and utilities that you could use here. For example, like there is a notepad built into the Matrix. Unfortunately, the only downside with this notepad is that you could only input up to 100 characters on the device. It's on the notes before having to load a new set of a new notepad and save it again here. Now, running the camera application, it's an easy to use interface as well. Very basic, just as the user interface on the device itself. You could run it through the menus on the Matrix, or just by pressing on the dedicated camera button on the right hand side of the device. You could change the brightness. You could even change the settings, the options, as far as white balance. You could change the different effects from black and white to sepia. There's also self timer if you want to take still images here. Picture size will vary, depending on which option you'll take. It's a 1.3 megapixel camera. We find that the photos came out pretty all right, in most part. In low lit areas, unfortunately, the colors were a little bit, dull, and also you notice a little bit of fuzziness with it. But in bright lit areas, it does a pretty good job. Still, colors are a little bit washed out, and outdoor shots are probably the best. And as far as the video is concerned, taking videos on the Matrix, very, very choppy. Unfortunately, the device itself does not have a lot of pixel density to have nice videos running on it here. But it is enabled for video share, so if you have another device that has its video share capable, you could actually send video in real time as you're speaking to them or conversing to them here. But the device itself has mediocre camera features here. As far as the performance goes on the Matrix, call quality was quite clear. We didn't have any problems really listening or people hearing us here. Speaker quality is probably one of the best things that we notice on the device. We rarely heard the speaker crack here, especially when placed at its loudest setting. Unfortunately, when you are listening to a conversation through the regular speaker, it's kind of on the low side, so you'd probably have to put it on its maximum setting to actually hear anyone here. But as far as battery life goes, the Matrix did give us quite a little bit of time with battery life. Unfortunately, when compared to similar, basic slider phones, it doesn't give as long as talk time or standby time. But it did meet up to the manufacturer specs that when we tested it here. It is a 3G device, so if your area has 3G speeds were pretty. A little bit slow on device loading up, but again, that's just due to the fact that the browser is not as depth, doesn't have as much depth as something like Internet Explorer or even the Apple mobile Safari here. So overall, we did like the phone, especially the design. Design is probably one of the greatest things about the device itself, with the numeric keypad and also the full QWERTY keyboard here. We did enjoy typing on the device, and overall the build quality and also workmanship on the device definitely does show. Unfortunately though, it's not a all-in-one phone, doesn't have great specs, but as far as just a messaging device, it does beat out some others when compared to some other devices here. So if you want, you could head on over right now. The Matrix is available on AT&T right now, and again, we did like the full QWERTY keyboard on the device.